Testing. Oh. Okay, good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I'm the board president of our church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. If this is your first time with us, we'd love to get to know you. Please sign our guest sign-in book in the foyer, where you can also sign up to receive our church announcement emails. You can also speak with Rebecca Howard, the chair of the membership committee, or Mike McNaughton, who is still out in the lobby, who also serves on our membership committee for more information about our church. If you're watching online, hello. I'm not quite sure where to wave, but hello. Please sign our virtual guest book. There's a link to the virtual guest book in the notes below the video. If you are a parent, you can speak with Terra, Hite, our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, about our kid and youth programming. We have lots of worship options for young children. We have our young worshipers space, our intention table. Kids can stay seated with their parents, and we also have our library quiet room. Our nursery coordinator is out sick today, so there will be no supervision in the nursery. This Sunday, after the Time for All Ages, the kids will be walked out by Elizabeth Portillos, our children's RE teacher, and Terra Hite to their classroom in the assembly room for children's story time. If at any time you would like to light a candle or write a joy or sorrow in the book over here, please feel free to do so in the beginning of the service. The written joys and sorrows will then be read aloud during the candles of community time. So, Reverend Tina asked me to share with you the work the board has been doing on setting goals for this church year. Our priorities have been guided by what we heard from the listening circles at the annual meeting and from listening to members of the congregation when we have been together. The priorities we developed for this year are board and congregational covenant. The board covenant is complete and has been posted on our members and friends website under the document archives section. The short version of the board covenant is, may we be kind, compassionate, and make room for growth, both within ourselves and within this group. We practice governance rooted in love. We are seeking rooted in love. So we are seeking members of the congregation to work on the congregational covenant. Please still see Bill Podorski and or Tina if you're interested in helping with that covenant development. Another goal this year is to develop our financial plan via our newly reconstituted finance committee. We hope to present a 10-year financial plan for congregational review / approval at the annual meeting in May. We also want to revise the church manual. Barb Franzak and Teresa Cull will head up this effort, so please see them if you're interested in helping out with that. We want to update the church constitution. Teresa and Bill have volunteered to be on point for this effort. And finally, we want to implement the visitor to leader curriculum that the UEA has made available to us. Rebecca Howard is heading up the first inquirers session today after the service, and then Tina and I will look into the rest of the curriculum and plan to stand up another module later on in the year. So please see either of us if you would be interested in helping with that. And finally, we would love to talk with you more about these goals and get your feedback. We're very open to hearing your thoughts. And finally, we need congregational participation to complete these goals. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Rebecca Howard, she, her pronouns, and I'm the chair of the membership committee, like Jennifer said. Announcements. Oh, wow, Bill, you're here. Great. Announcements can be found on the back of your order of service, on our website, on Facebook, through our weekly announcement email that goes out every Thursday, and through our voice newsletter. Today, we're doing the first UU 101 Inquirers class after the service here. If you're, well, let me just tell you what I wanted to say about that. This program is aimed at newcomers, but everyone is welcome to learn more about our church community. So if you'd like to join us, today is a question and answer session with Reverend Tina. So it's here, 11:45. If you're coming, go get coffee, but we'll have water and snacks for you in here. And oh yes, kids can go to the fun shop in the fellowship hall. And adults, well, yes, but if adults with kids want to attend the class, there is an activity for kids in the fellowship hall. They're making bead lizards, and somebody's talking about, I don't know, how do you say it, archosaurs? I wasn't sure if it was arch or arc. There's everyone invited on your own co-op market lunch at 1 p.m. after the service. There, next Friday is a family potluck and kids karaoke here, Friday the 20th at 5:30, and worship associate training. Tina's talked about this before. If you're interested in doing what I'm doing now, there's a script. It's very easy. There's a training for that, September 21st at 9:30 to 12. So. Yeah, if you want to, you should probably register, although I'm sure if you just showed up. Terra has something to say before we move on.
Just real quick, also that's not up here is that the teen outing to see Beowulf will be on the 22nd at 2 p.m. and we'll come hang out here afterwards with food and conversation. And then next week the kids are going to make blessing bags to hand out to the unsheltered, and so we'll have, so if people can bring things in like toiletries, after the Pathways, Espanola Pathways came last time to talk to us last Sunday, so we got inspired that we want to have blessing bags that people can hand out, and so the kids will be making those, and I'll send in the announcements like more descriptions of things to bring, but toiletries, non-perishable food items, bags themselves, so different things like that, and I don't think I introduced myself. I'm Terra Hite. All right, thank you.
And I'll just say a quick thing about the Beowulf and the Bard. It's very cute. If you have the time to see it, it's well worth going. It's kind of adult, although there was a school-age kid there. So, and now, if we would like to take a moment, I invite you to greet your neighbor by introducing yourself. Please remember that COVID is indeed still going around, and if you'd rather just wave at people instead of shaking hands, that's fine. There are masks out front if you want one, and I'll ring the chime to call us back. They're out of control. Can't control. I just realized I was like, I don't think I silenced my phone. Oh, okay, yeah. I just wanted to say a little word about Espanola Pathway Shelter and what they do very briefly. When they do the offering. Yeah, I just looked on their website and it just. Yeah. So now I didn't bring these up here, but you know how that goes. So that's you. Then I'm back up here. So maybe I should just stay up here. Oh, thank you. You guys are great.
Good morning. My name is the Reverend Tina DeYoe. I use she, her pronouns. And we gather in worship to find meaning and to live more deeply. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to be our better selves, calling us to live with wisdom and compassion. So let us now silence our cell phones as we listen to our opening music together that Yelena will play for us. Thanks, Yelena.
Thank you, Yelena. Nothing like a little Vivaldi in the morning. Our chalice lighters this morning are Evan and Nolan. Is Nolan coming up too? Do you want to come up, Nolan? You want to come up here? No? No, Evan. Just Evan. Yeah, it's kind of hard to push out. Just push it. Push it hard. Keep going. Keep going. There you go. There you go. Tip it a little more and tip it down. There you go. See, it's going. Thank you. We gather in, oh, that's not me. We've been given the covenant community because we need each other, and together we'll be more mature, experience more life, and know more joy than we ever would apart from one another. And if you all would stand in body or spirit, and we'll sing our opening hymn, number 1008. when our heart is in a holy place. And please remain standing for our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. Thank you. You may be seated.
So candles have been lit this morning in memory of Peggy Bowen, who passed away last Sunday, one of Terra's moms. Congratulations to Jenny Gaffney, who finished her radiation treatments this week. Yay! Woo, 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 woo. We also have joys for Bill Podorsky, who's here today, being done with a successful heart surgery. So, yes, woo. We're glad you're with us, Bill. Today is also the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month, and we celebrate the rich Hispanic heritage of our country this month. Prayers to Bridget, Ted, and Arthur for their recent loss. Prayers, compassion, and empathy for anyone dealing with memory loss in a loved one. And then someone wrote, I salute and give hugs to all of us who are in the midst of trial, transition, and growth. Let us join in a time of meditation this morning with these words. A prayer for the journey. Spirit of life and love, God of grace and mercy, source of all things that changes us as we cannot change ourselves. We gather this morning as a covenanted community of spiritual seekers, coming together in a rainbow of diversity and belief, united by our conviction that the wounds of this world can be healed through compassion, forgiveness, acceptance, and courage. And by healing, we do not mean restored to some great mythical original purity, but brought to a new place with greater wisdom, wholeness, and liberation than could have been envisioned before. Spirit of life, we ask for patience. We ask for understanding. We ask for compassion. We ask for hope and gratitude so that we may welcome our collective and individual journeys with open hearts, open minds, and open hands. And let us enter now into a time of communal silence for the individual prayers and meditations of our hearts. Amen, and blessed be. Let us remain seated and sing our meditation hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life. Is it on? Oh, yeah.
It's on. Okay.
Elizabeth, can you help me? I got this bowl on a trip, a very special trip. It was before I got when we got engaged, and I got it from the person who made it, and sadly, it slipped out of our cabinet, and it broke in half, and I'm feeling really sad about it. Can we try to fix it?
Sounds like it's something very special to you.
It is. And I know you didn't break it, but can you help me fix it anyway?
You mean help you fix it even though I didn't break it?
Yeah, that would be really nice. It's important to me that we figure out how to fix this bowl because it means a lot to me.
What do you think? Should we help Terra fix her bowl? Yeah. All right.
Do you have any ideas how we could fix the bowl? Glue it together?
Yeah.
Any other ideas? Oh, I thought I saw a hand back there.
What else? How else could we fix the bowl?
How do we fix this bowl?
Tape?
Make ceramic? Oh, I like that
Yeah.
idea. Yeah? You got an
Yes.
idea? Oh, wow.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can
So melt
a
the glass coating and
Yeah.
stick it together with the glass coating like a new glaze.
Wow.
Well, I have an idea too. It's called kintsugi.
What's kintsugi?
Well, kintsugi is the ancient Japanese art of repairing broken pottery and ceramics. Gold is used to highlight the beauty of the imperfections that remain when a broken item has been repaired.
Wow. So what I'm learning is that the point of kintsugi isn't to hide the broken parts, right?
That's right. The gold is used to remind the user over and over that something that was once broken is whole again, and it has different beauty.
In that way, what happens is that's what's happened when other things break too, right?
Like what kind of things?
Like relationships or friendships, or sometimes we hurt each other's feelings, and it's like the thread between two people breaks. But as Unitarian Universalists, we don't ignore that. We try to rebuild relationships so that it's stronger than it was before.
I agree. The work of healing is all of our jobs, no matter how big or small we are. And when we repair our mistakes with love and with our covenant, we remember that our relationships are more beautiful once we have acknowledged hurt, asked for forgiveness, corrected our mistakes, and made a sacred promise to do better in the future.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you all for helping me to think about how to take care of my bowl. None of you broke it, but you showed so much kindness when you helped me with something that I care about.
I'm happy to help. And now I'd like to invite the kids to come join us in the story room in the back to help develop our own covenant and to read the book Small Things Mended by Casey Robinson.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yelena. So today, we are going to explore the topics of covenants, tattoos, transitions, and rainbows. Personally, I have been through a lot of transitions in my life, as I'm sure many of you all have as well. I considered myself a nomad for a while after seminary, before I took the position here as the Director of Lifespan Religious Education. When I was living my nomadic life, I loved to wander. I was able to be responsible to myself and myself only. I didn't have to worry about community and being responsible to others. I could just float like a feather in the wind. However, I knew that this wandering stage in my life was not what I really wanted permanently. I needed some roots, some grounding, and a community. I specifically was looking for a covenantal community, a community that was similar to those I had grown up with in the Presbyterian Church. Everywhere I went, I looked for a covenantal church community to be a part of. These communities have been important to me since I was born. Growing up, in my Sunday school classes, we made covenants. I didn't really know at the time what they were, but knew they were our classroom rules or something. Now, with the experience I had as being a religious educator for the past 10 years, I have led numerous kids, youth, and adult classes and committees on how to make a covenant. I explain that a covenant is a set of promises we make to one another that explain how we want to create a safe and inclusive space for all. I get responses from the participants like, respect everyone, have fun, listen to each other, honor the intent, but take responsibility for impact, and more. We all then sign the covenant. I also explain how our covenants are living documents that we can add to or subtract from over the time we are together. Our Unitarian Universalist covenantal community goes back to the Protestant Reformation. UUs, as we like to call ourselves, are reformed and always reforming. Covenants go back to the Old Testament. Covenants go back to the New Testament and the time of Jesus. So, as y'all know, Jesus was a revolutionary person who brought together people from all walks of life. And I'm sure a lot of folks at the time of JC were saying, "You expect me to get along with a Samaritan? Yeah, right. Or you expect me to get along with a tax collector? Not doing it. How do you expect me to be able to do this, JC?" Through these principles that I'm teaching you here, he said. Jesus then preached the new covenant principles during his Sermon on the Mount that are in the Gospels you can read. He preached the Beatitudes. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. These were some of the new covenant principles Jesus taught his followers. Some thought they were above the law or immune to it, but Jesus taught us different principles of how to live in a covenantal community with each other. Covenant is important in our communities because it teaches us as people who come from all walks of life and all different backgrounds how to deal with the humanness we all have inside us. Sometimes our emotions get the best of us, and we can use covenant to not only include all of our messy selves, but can use covenant to repair relationships when conflict happens, because conflict between people always happens. As a covenantal community in transition, it is even more important to lean into covenant. Transitions and change are inevitable in this lifetime. In my 20s, I went through a very big transition, that of entering into a church of another religious tradition. I found the Unitarian Universalist Church in Knoxville, Tennessee. I fortunately had solidified my covenant with myself and did it through getting a tattoo of a dove carrying an olive branch with a rainbow and the word paz, peace in Spanish. And it's tattooed on my foot. This was the symbol for me of my faith at that time. Later, just as I personally have always been reforming and growing, I have established new covenants with myself and have grown in my faith beliefs. I started out Presbyterian and became Unitarian. I have new symbols of my faith tattooed on me as new covenants with myself and my community. This is my chalice arm. You can see my chalices here. I am always growing and always changing. We are always growing and always changing. Our faith and our beliefs are always growing and always changing. So when I first arrived here in 2014, our church was going through a very big transition of knocking down our old church building and was set to build our new church building. And throughout this time of transition, our covenant to love one another and support and help each other held strong. And look, we have this awesome building now. Woo! We'll have to do a 10-year celebration in 2016, right, y'all? Or 2016 to 2026. 2026, yes. The Unitarian Universalist Church here in the United States also went through many changes to its denominational covenant. In 1961, the Unitarians over here and the Universalists came together to form one church denomination, the Unitarian Universalist Association. Throughout this denomination's existence, the church has seen many new covenants created. And as of June 22nd, 2024, this past year, we have established an even newer covenant with one another through our Unitarian Universalist bylaws that were voted on at our General Assembly. In our UU tradition, covenant is essential because we are a community of differing beliefs. I love the Matt Chandler quote that Rebecca read during our chalice lighting. We've been given the covenant community because we need each other. And together, we'll be more mature, experience more life, and know more joy than we ever would apart from one another. Covenants change over time, and that is okay. Covenants are living documents that need revision as the world around us changes. This part of covenants, to me, is the most important part to remember, that covenants can be changed and are meant to be changed and updated. So why do I bring up this topic of covenants? Because our church is in a time of transition. We had the listening circles last year, and now the Revitalization Committee and the board have been working on integrating what was heard from you all and implementing goals and plans forward. As we heard some from Jennifer Young this morning. This is a congregational transition time, and we really need y'all's feedback and help to move through this time as a congregation together. And this is an exciting time, and transition also brings up feelings of nervousness and grief. When I first applied here for the gig of Director of Religious Education, Reverend John let me know you all were about to knock down your building and we're going to build a new building. And I told Reverend John that that's exciting, and it's good to know that the congregation is ready for and embracing change. This was a good sign as I began my new job here 10 years ago. And now we're in another transitional time after Reverend John has gone to Pennsylvania with our new DLRE, Terra, Hite, and our temporary office admin, Ryan Van Cleve, and myself as the new transitional minister. We have work to do, and it can only be done together. So I'm excited about the journey ahead, and I also know that sometimes I need to slow down. My mom wisely reminded me of this during my ordination service here last October. Some of you were present. I remember her wisely stating, "Slow down. Not everyone is at your pace." Journey through change and transitions take time. And we are allowed to feel all the feels when it comes to change and transition. And this is why we make covenant with each other, so that we can recognize one another's human messiness. We are imperfect beings, yet through our imperfection, beauty exists, just like that bowl we saw earlier. Beauty exists when we create covenants with each other and we can be compassionate and honest with each other. Beauty exists when we repair relationships with each other because we covenant to do so. So I also am covenanting with you all as your transitional minister during this time. I'm covenanting with you to listen. I'm covenanting with you to be direct in my communication, and I also would like for you all to be direct with me in communicating your needs and any feedback you may have. Please also be kind with your feedback if possible. And if you do not feel comfortable giving me feedback directly, we have a committee on ministry that can take feedback as well. So Ellen Mills, raise your hand, yes. Ellen Mills is on that committee. Susan Gisler is on that committee. Sue Watts is on that committee. Mike Adams is on that committee, and Mary Billen. They're all serving on that committee, so please give them any feedback about my ministry here with you all, our ministry together. I also covenant with you to admit and apologize for any mistakes I might make. And I covenant to be compassionate and prophetic with you all and to speak the truth in love. And I covenant to be there for you and your family in times of joy and in times of sorrow. I covenant to have an open mind. And I covenant to have fun with y'all too. So as we have begun this time of transition and change, I invite you all on this congregational covenant journey with one another. If you are interested in being a part of that team that will be creating this congregational covenant, please see me after the service or come to the UU 101 here in the sanctuary, and we can speak more there about covenant as well. So in the Old Testament, I mentioned that covenants were in the Old Testament as well of the Bible. In the Old Testament story of Noah's Ark and the flood, which many of you are familiar with, it was said that God put a rainbow in the sky as God's covenant with the people. Today, our UU communities continue to be held and carried by covenant through these times of transition and change. Covenants give us hope for being in healthy human relationships with one another. Covenants provide a sense of accountability and give us a framework for dealing with conflict when it arises. Conflict always arises during times of transition, and it is good to have the basis of a covenant in order to call people back into covenant when this conflict happens. Covenants are foundational. They have been here from the very beginning. If you think about a marriage, this is a covenant you make to someone who you love for a lifelong journey. And we know that they do not always work, but if the covenant was talked about and allowed to be a living document that a married couple renewed, which I know some couples do, then that shows signs of health in the midst of change. So I'm sincerely excited to be on this journey with you all. I love the fact that in the Old Testament story of Noah's Ark, the symbol for a covenant is a rainbow. We here at our church are rainbow and hope-filled people. We embrace loving beyond belief and are a compassionate and inquisitive community. What are the new principles you want to add in to a covenant with one another here in our community and with yourself on this journey? We are on this journey together. We will all help one another as we establish our congregational covenant. And please remember to talk with me after the service if you want to help craft the language around our congregational covenant. The final draft will be presented at our annual church meeting on May the 4th. So may the force, love, and our compassionate and inquisitive minds guide us on this journey together as we lean into covenant during this time of change and transformation. Amen, and may it be so.
As we prepare to go out into the world, it's time to give some of the gifts of our congregation back to the wider community. This month's Share the Plate offering goes to the Espanola Pathways Shelter. The shelter helps provide individuals and their families access to emergency shelter, transitional housing, comprehensive care, and essential supportive services. All cash and undesignated funds that are received will go directly to the shelter. Please feel free to use the QR code or the Givelify app. QR code's on the screen, or the Givelify app, sorry. May the offertory music lift your spirits, and may what you give bring you joy. Thank you for your generosity this morning. May these gifts be a blessing to those that are unhoused in our northern New Mexico region and need the services of the shelter. Please stand in body or spirit and sing hymn number 1054, Let This Be a House of Peace.
Thank
may we go out from this place, journeying together in community, remembering that as we begin to create covenant together, may we be reminded that we are creating a sanctuary, a house of peace for all. Let this indeed be a house of peace. Amen, and may it be so. And please feel free to join hands for our closing song. And if you do not want to join hands, that's okay too.